Well, welcome back, all you YouTubers. Gary Krebs here. I got my buddy John Clanton behind the camera again. It's been a long time since we've shot the last series of videos, but I want to thank all of our subscribers and the people that have watched our videos and contact us, and we appreciate that. Anyway, we have a new fly for you. This is the Poppin Minnow. We're going to show you how to tie this today. Before we get started with this one, we have a whole series of videos that are going to be coming up. Just want to tempt you a little bit. These are called the Nom flies. These are named by my buddy John behind the camera. When we were trying to discover a name or come up with a name, John said, name them nom nom, because that's the sound that fish make when they eat them. So, whole series of flies coming out soon. And then the next set of videos we're going to do for all you pike and muskie guys, look what we got coming. It's on its way, so stay tuned. And this will be the new set. We'll have a 1-inch, 3/4, and a 5/8 for all you guys that are out there going after the fish of 10,000 casts. Pike and muskie set coming at you soon. One of my students up in the Fort Wayne area, his name is Don Privet. He kind of spurred the invention of this fly, and this is Don's original fly that he sent me. And one of the things I always try to teach is to be creative in your fly tying, and that's what Don has done here. Is he kind of gave us the idea to come into this fly. Now, this fly has produced extremely well in the smallmouth for us. It's probably one of my favorite smallmouth flies. So we want to share this thing with you. Hopefully it'll produce as good for you. So we're going to get busy and tie this thing. This is the beaver tail cutter made by River Road Creations. It's actually a little bug body, but this is what we're going to use for the tail. So all you do is it comes pre-sharpened. You have a little cutting pad here. This is 2mm craft foam. All we're going to do is set that on there and then just stamp out one of the bug bodies like that. Pull it off the foam, set that aside. Now it's going to leave a little tip on that foam, and we'll just snip that off, set it aside. So our tail's ready to go. And we're going to take the 5/16 cutter from the popper jig set. We're going to use a 5/16 rod. And you can go back to one of our first videos on how to cut foam and go through this in detail. So I'm going to go through it a little quicker on this video. Alright, I'm going to take the 5/16 rod, slide it into the jig, right to the slit. And your jig set comes with a needle. We're going to set that into the hole and push it right straight through, and that pins the foam into the jig. We're going to take our razor blade. I want you to hold the jig with your thumb and your middle finger. If you're right-handed, slide it off to your right side and right up to the edge of the table. And take the razor and slide it right down that fast back. And just as you get to the end of the cut, just rest your finger on that and pop that off there. Okay? Flip it over. Same thing, thumb, middle finger, slide the razor blade right down through that cut, finger on the tip, cut it all the way through. Pull your leg needle out, and there we have that little head perfectly cut every time. Alright, now what we need to do is to prepare the head to put on the hook. In the earlier videos I show how to mark this. We're not going to mark it in this video, but we're going to split the head. We're going to split it about halfway in two. So just take your razor blade, set it right on the back, right at the top dead center, and just slightly push it into the head. Then I'm going to turn it over and make sure it's sitting perpendicular to the hook. And if it is, it is. And then I'm going to push the front end right to the center of the head like that. Flip it around, and then push the back end right up to the edge of the fastback, but remember, don't cut through that fastback area or your material will pop up through that later on. So that's how we split the head. We're going to just set that aside for now. Mustad R75 79580 2X heavy 5X long. So we're going to use long hook, but what happens is we're downsizing the head. We're going to put a little bitty head on this long hook, and then we're going to use the beaver tail to hold up the back of the hook. We're going to use blood quill marabou for the tail, the medium round rubber for the legs, and Estaz. Alright, now we have our Mustad 5X long hook in the vise. We're going to start our thread back towards the back of this fly. Lay a base coat right back to the bend and cut your tag off. We're going to use 2 blood quill marabous. Okay, I like the blood quill because it's a little more pointed up here, but if we just take this feather and we pull it down like that, you'll see the tips up here. They're not really lined up. They kind of make a radius around there. What I want to do is I want to pull this feather apart like this, and I'm going to pull this tip off here and get rid of that. And then all of this stuff down here just makes bulk out of your tail. So I'm going to reach in here and grab that and just strip that off the edge of your feather. Pull that off. And now when I pull this up, you'll see all those tips lining up. It just makes a nice, beautiful little tail. So pull that through your fingers. I want this tail to be about the same length as the hook. So if you just lay it up there, that's a good measurement. So we can take this one, lay it down, tie it on. Nice little loose loop. A couple wraps around that to hold it in place. And cut that off. Now we're going to use a second one on this. Same thing, we're going to pop the top of that feather, get rid of all those little short fibers, and then strip all these fibers down to the bottom, get them off there. And there again, when we pull those up, it makes a nice even tail right there on the end. So we're going to tie this one right down on top of that one. Match up your lengths, tie those down. Wrap them down good. And I usually wrap these backwards because on the first piece I wrap forward. So there we go. Now we have a nice looking tail. Cut off your excess. Wrap that down good and tight. Move your thread right back up to the base of your tail, right there. Okay. Now we're going to use the polar flash. I'm just going to use maybe 3 or 4 full pieces. Get them out of the ink here. And I install my flash a little bit different than most people, but there again, we have another video. You can go back and watch this procedure again. But I pull my polar flash between your vise and your bobbin, up against your thread, and over the top of the hook. Okay. Now take the thread in your left hand, this in your right hand. Switch hands, flip it over. Okay? Flip it over again, flip it over again. Flip the flash to the back side, and then follow your thread right down the other side. And what that does is that, get it in here, that makes your flash all one piece and it won't pull out on you. Now, grab that flash, pull it back and cut it just a little bit longer, maybe a 1/4 inch longer than your tail. Just cut all those off. And our flash is installed. Now, next we're going to put the tail on. This little bug body is going to serve as our tail. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie the head on right here. But first I want to move my thread about a 1/16 of an inch forward of the tail. And then I'm going to take a little dot super glue gel. Okay? We're going to put just a tiny little dot right there. Don't give very much here, it'll get up in your marabou. Take that head and set it right here. See these little creases for the head? That's going to be right at the base of your tail. Okay, so set that right down on top of that. Make sure it's on top and not slipped left or right. Push it down into that glue. And we're going to make 2 little soft loops around that head Make the soft loop and then quickly snap it down. Boom! But don't pull real hard. If you do, it'll cut your foam. But just snap it down. Then we're going to make 3 or 4 soft loops right across that head. Go forward with it. See how it's smashing it down? And then we're going to back up and tie that down again. Go one more time across that so we get all that foam smashed down in there. And then move your thread right back to the base of your tail. So we've moved our thread right back to the base of the tail now that we've got it tied on. Next step is we're going to use the S-Taz. Now, if you look at this S-Taz, I'm going to turn it around this way. It actually has a direction. So you can see most of the fibers right here are pointing back to my right hand. Now they're pointing back to my left hand. What I want to do is I want to wind this so that those fibers are pointing backwards. So there is a forward and a backwards to the S-Taz. So we're going to just take it, got it all, most of those fibers pointing that way. I'm going to tie it down, catch it pretty good. I usually do about 1/8 of an inch. Tie it right back up to the base of the tail, like that. Can you see that? Okay. Tie it down real well. Now, do a base coat, and we're gonna do a base coat all the way back up to the eye. Now this longer hook is going to tend to wobble. You can see the table moving here, and the hook is really bouncing. So just grab a hold of the hook, hold it steady, and follow that base coat all the way up here. It's a long hook. Okay, now we're to the eye. Now I like to rotate my thread and pull that bobbin right up to the top, because we're going to be going around and around and around this hook, and we want that to stay out of our way. So we are going to palmer this S-Taz. Okay, see how long the fibers are? If I just wrap this, and I just wrap it around and around and around, what it does is the fibers from the previous wrap get captured underneath the wrap you're doing, and it makes spaces, and it just makes a really ugly job. So proper way to put this on, get it back around here, do it just like you would when you're palmering a schlappen feather. Just take your fingers and just lightly drag it across the fibers and wrap the fibers around. Okay. Once you get around that first loop, I'm going to take 3 fingers. I'm going to take the material underneath the hook and the side. I'm going to use this finger to grab the material on the S-Taz, hold them back, come around. Okay. We have a 5X long hook. You'll get lots of practice on this. But just keep doing it, one after the other. Now the wrap should be the thread that's holding the S-Taz together in the center wants to be right up against the one previous to that. Okay. This is a long way up, but just kind of like Dory, just keep winding, just keep winding. You'll get there. It's worth it when you get done. You have a beautiful looking fly, but just keep going. Now as we get closer to where the head's going to install, we got a few more wraps to get there. We're going to want to leave a pretty good space for our head. That foam head that we cut. Just keep wrapping. Pay attention to the little details. This is what's going to make your fly look really good here. Alright, 2 or 3 more wraps and we'll be about there. Now when I get close, the way I check to make sure if my head's going to fit is I'm just simply going to take the head, I'm going to set it right behind the eye, and right there I'm a little short, I need one more wrap on there. One more time, and we'll check it again. Put the head right behind the eye, down, one more. Okay, now once we've got that one, move my thread back right to the face of that S-Taz, capture it, and snip off the excess. I did measure this, and it takes right at 6 inches of S-Taz to do this fly. So if you start out with a 5.5 inch long piece, you're probably not going to make it to the end. So, okay, now back to the head. This head is completely dependent on adhesive to hold it on. So we have to make sure that we do at least 2 base coats of thread on this. So we're here, we need to move our thread back up to the eye. So we're going to put another base coat right back up to the eye. Don't worry about those little fibers sticking up there. And then I'm just going to do another quick one back and forth like that. Okay, once we get there, tie it off. Now when I pull my knot down on the whip finish there, I always bring that knot up top and cut it up on top. That way when I glue the head on, that glue is going to seal the knot down. Makes a really, really tough fly. Okay, now ready to put on our head. Loctite super glue gel. Do not try to use regular super glue here. The gel will give you just a couple seconds to adjust your head. The regular super glue will stick as soon as you put it on there. So we're going to take the glue and we're going to put a nice big dollop right across the top of the hook. Don't skimp here. Going to wet this side. Rotate that over and put another wetting on the other side of the hook. Now, I like to turn mine upside down. I'm going to use my fingernails. I'm going to stick them in the side of that head and open that gap wide open. If you don't have fingernails, you can use a pair of pliers or whatever, but make sure you open this good and wide. Big and wide, slide the back end right up against the S-tabs and fold the front end right up to the nose and let go. Now, I like to look across it this way, turn it over and make sure that head's setting where I want it, and it is. If not, you can adjust it a little bit. Turn it back over and squeeze. And now I squeeze from the back to the front, and if you do, like on the previous videos, you're always going to see that little dollop of glue come out from under the eye. Thank you. Okay, and you can see right here, there's that little dollop of glue. You want to see that every time. Now just take your toothpick and pull that off there. Wipe this back off the back. Clean it up nice and good. And then clean out the eye. The way I do that, just stick the toothpick through there, put your thumb on it, and wipe it off. Alright, now our head's installed. This head is designed to set flush with the hook on the bottom here. What makes this fly work properly is that, can we see it there? Okay, is you need the maximum amount of flotation above the hook. Okay, so don't squeeze this. A lot of beginners will try to push that head way down into the hook. Don't want to do that. It's designed to set flush, just like that, if you can see it. Okay, next step, we're going back to our leg needle that comes with your kit. Now, the original, when we cut this in the jig, we created that little hole there. Now that's going to become our leg hole. So we're just going to set the needle right in that hole. Don't push it in there. We're going to tip that horizontally. Put your thumb on the back, 2 fingers on the back side of that, and push it through. Okay. Do not grab that needle and push it through. It'll find a different hole. But if you just put pressure on the back of it, it'll come back through that same hole every time. Now, something else that we figured out is that, see the eye of the needle? If I set that eye of that needle horizontal when I go to pull the legs through, it actually cuts an egg-shaped hole through there, and it'll cause your legs to set horizontally with the fly. So I'll show you here in a second. We're going to take 2 small pieces of, I'm going to use orange. You can use any color you want. Put those up through your eye. So you're okay? And then pull that through. Now you'll see that leg when it pops through. See how it turned horizontally there? If it's not quite there, you can give it a little twist. There's your leg. Now to cut these, I use a ruler. Now this leg I'm going to cut right at a 1/2 inch. So we're just going to put our scissors on the 1/2 inch, cut that, flip the fly over, do the same thing the other side. Put your scissor over there, right on a 1/2 inch, and cut. Right. Now, I don't know that this makes any difference, but it sure makes the fly look rather unique. But my friend Dave Hostler from Pilecast.com.
It's .net.
Pilecast.net. I saw Dave do this once, and it just looks really neat. But he takes that back leg and he cuts about 1/8 of an inch off of that back leg on both sides, and it really just gives that fly a neat look. Okay, and so that's what I do. And the other thing I do on this fly is cut those legs short. You don't want those legs really long. Long rubber tends to just fold back when it's in the water. It doesn't really tend to give you a lot of action, but these shorter legs will. As you work that leg just works real well. But that's it. That fly is ready to fish. You can put eyes on it. I like to use Tester's model paint. You can see the color. We do a red with a black pupil on there. You can use stick-on eyes. You can doll this thing up with all kinds of stuff if you want to, but anyway, this is the Poppin Minnow. Also, you can do it many different colors. This is a white one. These are probably my best two colors here, is white and chartreuse. You can also do it black, or just an endless amount of things that you can do. So, well, hey, this is the Poppin Minnow, and we'd like to just say thank you for watching again. Give this fly a try. It's just proved to be awesome on smallmouth. I want to invite you to subscribe, and thank you to those of you that have already subscribed. And stay tuned. We got some really neat stuff coming down the pipe. You're going to get to see these great big pike muskie poppers. We're going to have Dave Hostler from Pilecast.net tying with us when we get to these things. You also have the Om Nom Fly series coming out. So if you want to see how these are tied, stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.